Welcome in to another new podcast from the Association for Materials Protection and Performance. My name is Ben Dubose, and I'm a staff writer with the AMP publications team, specifically Materials Performance Magazine and with Coatings Pro Magazine. In my hosting duties for today's show, I'm joined by Michael Klein, Senior Director of Customer Experience at AMP. Mike, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing great, Ben. How are you today?
Doing well. Thanks for taking the time to join us. And today, in our newest AMP podcast, we've got a special guest. We're going to be chatting with Kamal Tahir, Director of Global Operations at AMP. Like many departments within AMP, Global Ops is going through some changes as a result of the combination of NIICAP International and SSPC, the Society for Protective Coatings. So we're bringing Kamal on the show to discuss what's changing, what's staying the same, and what our members and others within the industry can expect. First things first, welcome to the podcast, Kamal. How are you?
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here. I'm doing well. Looking forward to speaking with you and Mike.
Yeah, and I think a good place to start, if you could, Kamal, just introduce yourself, tell our audience your role with AMP and what it is specifically that you oversee in Global Ops.
So my name is Kamal Tahir, like you said, and I'm Director of Global Operations, previously for NIICAP International, now for AMP. And my job is to run the operations, that's including business development and actually hosting courses and following up with details for our operations internationally. And when I say internationally, it's everything outside the United States and Canada.
Okay.
We have offices all around the world. To be specific, we have an office in Rio de Janeiro. We have an office in Cambridge, another one in Riyadh, in Khobar in Saudi Arabia, and Kuala Lumpur and Shanghai. They're teamed up with global operations personnel, and we work around the clock, making sure that things happen.
So you are wired in worldwide on AMP members and customers, and you talk to them every day, you and your team. So I'm curious as to what kind of questions you're getting from them about the merger and its effects, and what are their perspectives from the global situation.
Well, Mike, there are a lot of questions, as you can imagine. During this merger, there has been a lot of changes in different operations, from education to conferences and so on. And so, of course, every change that happens with any other department, we get the questions, just like with your group. And most questions revolve around chapters and sections. People want to know exactly what's going to happen, what their roles are going to be, how they rise through the organization to reach that board member status. But things have been changing and things are not the same. So our job has been, for the past, I would say, few months, is educating our members on how the new AMP works. And of course, as you know, a lot of these questions are not answered yet. There are committees, right, and there are professionals out there working on figuring this stuff out. And so, as we know, we're explaining it to our members.
So what are some of the priorities that you all have when, for example, you're blending NIICAP and the SSPC, basically their version of a quality control program? What are some of your priorities when you're putting these things together?
So a lot of this work happens at HQ, and QP is really there. There's a team around it that is controlling it. Now, once they come up with a new thing, now when they did the change, for example, from NIICAP to QP, our priority was to communicate with all the NIICAP customers and explain to them what it means to be a QP customer now, and what does it mean in terms of audits? What does it mean in terms of the periods of when we're going to do the audits? So it's been, again, education. It's talking to the customers and explaining that nothing has changed, except that it's no longer NIICAP, it's QP. It's a stronger program where we have a bigger and more professional team running it right now. So it's all positive, really, if you think about it. There are no negatives here. Another thing is to communicate with the asset owners that trusted us to push NIICAP in the first place, and work with us to change to QP. As you know, we work with a lot of multinational groups, oil and gas groups around the world, and for us to have them specify NIICAP was a big milestone. Now coming back and saying, well, we're going to change things, and it's no longer going to be the NIICAP. It's going to be called QP. I got to say, they've worked with us. They've been sensational. The asset owners have been incredible, and I think that speaks to everything we do at AMP. It's all member related, and it's all member produced. So the members themselves are our customers in almost all cases, and so they come up with the rules, and we follow the rules, and they make sure that their organizations understand why these changes happen. So it's truly incredible working with our members internationally. Whenever there is an obstacle, and we faced obstacles during this transition, we found out that our member leaders were always the ones that stood up and took charge and made sure that whatever transition we're making with customers is done in a proper and professional manner. Of course, we support it in every way we can, but they really led the charge, and that's what's incredible about it.
As a quick follow-up to that, what's the timetable moving forward when we're talking about NIICAP and the SSPC QP in terms of the next few months, weeks, whatever it may be? What does the rollout look like, and where are we as far as the transition?
So a lot of the customers have already been informed that of the change. It's the NIICAP customers. Obviously, with the QP customers, there's little to no change to them. But with the NIICAP customers, they have been informed, and the new audits have been taking place as a QP audit. And so in many ways, it has started. It's begun. And the rollout has been incredibly smooth. One thing we have to keep in mind when we talk about this is a lot of our NIICAP customers were QP customers too. And so they understand the program. They have an understanding of who runs it, and the professional team that takes care of it from the staff. And so it has not been a rough transition into this. Now, one thing I could tell you is the growth potential that is out there for this program is incredible. Everywhere we go, we're seeing we're seeing asset owners who are asking more questions, trying to get us to work with them so they could specify QP to their contractors. And as you know, this is not an easy thing. It's not. It's we've gone to contractors or asset owners before, and they were completely convinced with the program. They said, we're ready to implement. However, if I implement today, if I ask my contractors to all become QP contractors, or back then NIICAP contractors, when would I have anyone to bid on a contract? Or how long will it take before they are qualified as that contractor? And it's a tough question, because that all depends on the contractor themselves, right? The contractors have to submit the paperwork. When it comes to us auditing, we're pretty quick. We can find ways to audit. Even during this pandemic, we've found ways to complete audits. But if the contractor is not ready with their paperwork and it's not ready to complete an audit, this thing can take some time. And so I really enjoyed working with a lot of our asset owners who kind of broke it down and communicated, or helped us at least communicate with the contractors to say, okay, well, within the year, we'd expect you to become a QP contractor. And then we rolled up her sleeves and worked with the accreditation department and figured out how to roll this out with all of them. So it is a challenge, but again, the potential is amazing.
So coming at it from a different angle, you are also hearing from a lot of legacy SSPC customers. You mentioned before that have been in the QP program, and there really hasn't been any change for them. How has their reaction been? You know, what are they looking at to gain out of the combination of the program?
That's a great question, Mike. I think they appreciate the fact that their program has not changed much, and they appreciate the fact that now it's a larger organization, and so with a much longer reach. So if you're a contractor, let me put it this way: if you are a QP contractor working in Brazil, now with AMP and with the infrastructure that we have internationally, you have a bigger exposure to many more asset owners around that region. So you can potentially work in Argentina or work in Chile or other places because you are part of that network. Whereas before they were doing it specifically for that one client that they were working with. So I think we opened up an avenue for a lot of our international contractors to expand their reach. So not to necessarily work within, for example, if they're working in Saudi, not to just work in Saudi. And we have it. We do actually have a great example of that. One of our contractors who's got audited and got his accreditation in Saudi Arabia has now grown and is working in Kuwait under Kuwait Oil, who specifies NIICAP and now QP, and is expanding to Qatar and other places. So it's giving them that incentive. And of course, being with a multinational like we are, it's easy to communicate with our offices internationally and get help to understand who to contact with from the asset owner's perspective. And so I think it's a big positive in that direction.
Let's talk about the regional breakdown. You've touched on this a little bit, and obviously as Director of Global Ops, you deal with regions all over the world outside of the United States and Canada. What regions are showing the most interest in AMP, and I suppose how the organization has evolved over the last few months? Also, how are you getting the word out? What's your messaging strategy, and what type of reception have you heard in these various regions?
Yeah. So again, I gotta say it has been a very positive journey. One thing to think about is the two organizations. The two legacy organizations have complemented each other with this merger. We didn't have in legacy NACE, for example, the C7, C12 programs, which are applicator-based programs, and we couldn't push them outside around the world. SSPC was beginning to take that journey and go international with these programs. But now that we're together under the AMP umbrella, we're finding that there are a lot of customers out there, including large oil and gas companies that have completely adopted these programs now that we are one organization. And the organizations that had adopted these programs but were looking to push their employees to go further now have that ability to go into CIP and CP and so on and so forth. It's creating, I think, between the two organizations right now, we are closing the loop on the corrosion mitigation process. So the way we pitch it, and that's part of your question, is we let the asset owners and contractors and government organizations that we work with around the world, we're letting them know that we are now the one-stop shop for your corrosion mitigation needs. If you're looking for applicator training, then that is us. If you are looking for material performance, well, we have MPI, and that's part of our organization. If you're looking for inspector programs, then we do have that with CP and CIP. We also have programs like Impact that look at the entirety of your corrosion mitigation program, and we can audit you and let you know if you need more resources or how you could transform your organization to really control your corrosion issues. So with our organizations getting together, it really has given us an incredible platform. I forgot to mention standards. You know, it all begins with standards. Now the amount of standards that we have, and then the diversity of standards that we have, is really helping us when communicating with government organizations. They're looking for our standards. They're happy to have them all in one place. They're happy to know that we not only do the have the standards, but we also have the training, and we also have the coatings testing and so on and so forth. It's been a positive journey in the past 3 months. Incredibly positive.
So I imagine that there are some regions that are more active than others. You know, you mentioned oil and gas, and I imagine that the oil and gas producing regions of the world, there's a lot of interest. Or there's some other regions or other countries specifically that are just kind of clamoring to become more involved and, you know, get their affiliations with AMP solidified.
So you're right about that, Mike. I mean, we have. So it's not. It's like you said. It's not just oil and gas. We've been working with oil and gas as you know, as two separate organizations, and now as AMP for over 75 years, and that's a relationship I think that is that's always been a very strong partnership. But we're also working with other industries in the water, wastewater, in the infrastructure, and so on. It's not just the companies. It is, like you said, it's governments. So if you look at what happened recently with Impact and how there's a new study coming up for Impact in Canada. So now we have an impact study for the United States. We have one in Canada, and we have one one for India. I can tell you there are many other countries like Jordan and Israel and many others that are looking on you know, working with AMP to create their own impact study and figuring out what their corrosion cost is and how to mitigate it. Another thing is we're getting a lot of attention from water and wastewater companies in the Middle East. So we've been working with SWIC, for example, which is the largest desalination company in Saudi Arabia. And we're in a place right now where it is becoming that close partnership, just as we have with oil and gas. If you remember, water and wastewater is just as precious, or water specifically is just as precious as oil in many of these countries. And so taking care of your assets, making sure you're doing all the right mitigation when you, corrosion mitigation when you need to, is what will keep your asset running and what will keep water flowing to the customers. This is it is becoming a big thing, and I'm glad you asked that, because I think a lot of the times when we say we're AMP and we talk about our history, I think people overlook that part of our work. We're not just an oil and gas corrosion mitigation association. We work with everybody. Now with the QP program, for example, as we mentioned before, here the QP program in the United States works in a big way with bridges and tunnels with the DOTs around the country. Internationally, the QP program works specifically for the oil and gas companies. Well, we're changing that now because of the history that the QP program has had in this country. We're educating the customer on how they can utilize this program for their infrastructure needs. We've talked to in countries like Jordan and Saudi Arabia and in Southeast Asia. We've talked to ministries of transportation, ministries of public works, and we've introduced them to these different programs. And I could tell you the reaction has always been has been in this past year incredible. They want to know more. They want to move forward. The pandemic has slowed things down in a big way. But even with the pandemic having cost us a lot of momentum, we're seeing a huge potential.
It's interesting that you bring up the pandemic because I feel like right now we're sort of in an interesting spot in which things are clearly on the upswing in the United States with the rollout of vaccines. We're getting back to in-person events at AMP and a lot of other industry organizations. And yet at the same time, there's a lot of other areas in the world that are certainly still struggling with COVID and have not had the luck that we have in regards to cases going down, the vaccine rollout, et cetera, et cetera. Is there anything that members in those areas are looking for AMP to do to sort of stay engaged with them while they're still dealing with the pandemic?
Yeah, and unfortunately, you're right, Ben. It's the pandemic is under control here in this country and is under control in many other countries. But unfortunately, in the majority of the countries we deal with, it's still a problem, and it's still causing concern to a lot of our members. I got to say the departments, the various departments within AMP have really stepped up, and whatever they've done in the past year and a half has affected our members in a very positive way. From the rollout of virtual learning to the webinars and the virtual conference that happened in the past few months, we're getting a lot of positive response from our international members. As a matter of fact, in the conference, we had a 30% increase of international members attending, versus in person. And so these are incredible numbers, but it also tells you the amount of people that are interested in the AMP content, and they're interested in what we roll out. They want to be a part of it. Now, having a hybrid program going forward, which is what the conferences department is doing, is all going to be a positive thing going forward. It's definitely going to be, the members are going to truly embrace this. Now, of course, as we move forward and the pandemic starts getting under control in different areas, I'm sure people are eager to be face to face once again.
Mm-hmm.
But even without that, I think we've learned a few lessons here. Right? It's easy to kind of break down our customer base and our members into international and U.S. based, right? Because our headquarters are here in the U.S. But what we're finding out because of all the content that's been going around virtually this past year and a half, we're finding a big level of engagement from our international members into the programs that we're hosting and the programs that are coming up. So I think we've learned some really good lessons here. We need to keep it up. If we have a conference here in the U.S., it's great to have a hybrid model to include people who have been carrying a big burden traveling from 7,000 miles away at times 10,000 miles away to the United States to just be a part of this. So moving forward, I think that's gonna increase our membership. You're gonna see a lot of people who couldn't afford to be, who couldn't afford to engage with us before are going to be engaging with our different committees and with our different technical groups. So it's I can't see the negative in continuing a virtual model parallel to what we're doing right now.
You're in your travels, virtual, such as it has been for the past year and a half, as you mentioned, and as we've gone through this merger, we know there have been some, we'll call them some less than enthusiastic responses, sometimes domestically, domestically and internationally, but particularly internationally, there seemed to be a real struggle with members of the former SSPC and NAICE with accepting this merger. How do you handle that? What do you say to these folks? How do you put a positive spin on it and convince them of the opportunity that lies ahead for them and for all of us, frankly?
Yeah, well, Mike, you hit the nail on the head there. It's all about outlining the opportunity. I mean, with every change, right? There's always that feeling of dread, that feeling of, and I believe a lot of the negative reactions we get has more to do with the fear of change rather than what the change actually is. When we've gotten customers and members and asset owners who have contacted us with, let's just say, with some heated up questions on what a certain change might mean to them. After talking to them for 10, 15, 20 minutes, you find that these questions kind of start to disappear, and they're more interested in the opportunity that this merger brings rather than the challenges that are facing us at the present. The global ops team are really incredible at doing this. They've always managed to communicate well with the members and letting them see what's beyond today's changes, to see the opportunity that is coming in. One thing, we haven't dealt a lot in the concrete corrosion or with concrete corrosion with legacy NAICE, and yet we've had many customers, specifically in the Middle East and in Southeast Asia, that have asked us about it. Well, do you have any courses? Do you have any content? And yes, we did have a few courses here and there, but not a big content that we could deliver. Now, with after combining the two organizations together, we have a library of stuff. We have a lot to share with the clients that are interested in that kind of corrosion. Corrosion under insulation is another one where some of the SSPCs or legacy SSPCs members were asking about. Now they're getting more and more information about it. I think there's strength in this merger in terms of content, and the fact that within AMP we have a department specifically concentrating on content and content development and making sure our content is accessible and is fresh and is ready for the members. It's a game changer. You will see a lot of the members who were maybe not quite on board with this merger. You will find them coming back and really understanding that there is a lot for them out there, and all they have to do is press a button and get that content. So, like everything, Mike, I mean, and I'm sure you get a lot of these questions too. A lot of the what's happening tomorrow and what is happening today with a specific program. Yes, for a lot of this stuff we don't have an answer to, because just there are members just like that member who's calling and asking about the specific program, who have formed committees and are working to solve that problem. And so until we get that all sorted, we're just going to have to make sure that we keep highlighting what the future looks like for this amazing merger.
Kamal, I think you're right. The genius in the merger, I think, really lies in the content in a lot of ways, because the combination of the two organizations and the content that we have to offer is going to be just a huge strength.
I believe that. I can tell you, Mike, when the let's say the rumors of the merger started coming out internationally, there was a lot of intrigue and there were a lot of questions. And I can tell you that between the day we started integrating until today, a lot of these questions have been answered. And I really am a firm believer that all the questions will be answered in due time. But it is important for us not to be focused on or only focused on the what's happening today, and try to start laying the groundwork for what we need to happen in the future. It just we do work for an incredible organization with incredible members. There's not a day that passes where one of our international members is being a leader in pushing AMP forward to the governments or the associations that are in their countries, or whether it is to the asset owners, or whether it is just trying to help the staff figure out how to increase their presence within that country. I don't see that happening anywhere else in private businesses. I think this is a unique thing for associations, especially like ours.
The last question that I have, when you talk about the feedback that you get from many of these members around the world, how much is similar and how much is different when it's a former NAICE person versus a former SSPC person? What are the differences, if those exist, in terms of sort of the themes of the questions you get from each distinct audience?
It's incredibly similar. It is incredibly similar, and it shows. I think what it shows that we're not that different between the two organizations, and it makes sense to merge as one organization. By the way, the members internationally, for the most part, know each other and are in the same circles in many cases. A lot of the asset owners that we deal with on daily basis use products from both organizations, and so the transition for us when it comes to making sure that our members and clients' needs are met is not difficult. I think the main obstacle is to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Make sure those details are set and pushed forward, so that the members and the customers understand exactly how the new flow in terms of business and in terms of working with this association goes. Like I said earlier, a lot of the questions are, okay, well, I'm a member in Peru, for example, and I'd like to join a committee. Well, how do I? What steps do I take? And these come from both sides, whether it's SSPC or NAICE. That interest in how do I engage? What do I do to engage? We have, language barriers are there, and of course, the fact that we have infrastructure in terms of offices and staff around the world, is a huge support and is a huge help. But we're also working on translating and making sure that a person in Korea who is interested in joining a committee that had its a technical committee, let's say, that started its that started somewhere here in Texas or somewhere around the U.S. with a few American engineers, has the capability of joining and sharing their thoughts and giving feedback on how that whatever this technical committee is working on, how that affects the person's work in Korea. This is the concern that most international members have. How do I be more involved? How can I share my perspective? How can I make my contribution to AMP work for my company and my country?
That's basically everything that's on my list. Mike, is there anything else that you wanted to add before we sign off as far as questions for Kamal?
No, I think we hit them all, and I appreciate it, Kamal. I think you gave great answers. I think there's a lot to look forward to in this opportunities that we're bringing here as AMP, and I'm glad you and your team are out there on the front lines bringing it to the world.
Mike and Ben, I can't thank you enough for giving me the opportunity to talk to you today. Sorry, I could be long-winded sometimes when I answer some questions, but I am very passionate about the work we do internationally for AMP. So thanks again.
No worries. And yeah, it was absolutely great information. And I think this is a good point in which we can wrap it up. So again, for Kamal Tahir and Mike Klein, my name is Ben Dubose. This is where we will break today. If you want more information about what Kamal's team is doing over in Global Ops or other departments within the association, you can check out the AMP website at ampp.org. Also, feel free to visit materialsperformance.com and coatingspromag.com for all sorts of additional news related to protective coatings and corrosion control. With that, we'll sign off for good. For Kamal and Mike, I'm Ben. Thanks again for listening, and please come back soon for another new AMP podcast.